I have an install of IBMi running on this Power 6 machine. You know, those green screen terminals you see when you're getting your tires changed or whatever. But the only way I have to interact with it is through something called an HMC, which has a 5250 terminal emulator, which the IBMi requires. Today we're going to get TCP, IP, and telnet working on this IBMi install so we can use other emulators over the network. This will be no small feat. We'll bring this little ThinkCentre along to help us out, get Windows XP installed on it, and try out some of IBM's client access software. So let's see if we can get this IBMi machine all networked up and spend some time learning a little bit more about how it works. Let's get into it. Things have not been going well for me down here lately, but we'll discuss that in a moment. As you can see, the HMC is starting up. And if you haven't seen my previous IBM P-Series and IBMi videos, the HMC is this thing right here. It's an x86 machine running some software IBM calls the Hardware Management Console. And you use it to control, configure, interact with these big IBM monsters down here. Today we're going to concern ourselves with this Power 6 machine from 2008. HMC software takes like 15, sometimes 20 minutes to come online. The HMC software just is some Java stuff running on probably a Red Hat Linux slimmed down distro that you can't really interact with. You can go download it from IBM if you want, good luck. But while that boots up, I'll fill you in. This is a Nortel BCM 1000, and I have 50 minutes filmed of a video trying to get this working. Maybe that'll come out before the video you're watching now, I'm not entirely sure. Long story short, I'm waiting on a very specific Ethernet card at once, a Netgear card. Got a couple on the way from eBay, it's taken forever, and this thing won't boot and is not usable properly without that Ethernet card because it's running some embedded Windows NT version or something. Hopefully we'll get some Nortel phones hooked up to it, do a little 66 block wiring, should be fun. This is the HMC interface, and I've just told it to power on that Power 6 machine. These are the other two big guys on the bottom. They don't have any power right now. And now normally you would just install OSs, manage what are called LPARs on them. So if we go take a look at the Power 6, it's been split up into a bunch of different LPARs. You can think about these sort of like VMs. And if you're really eagle-eyed, you'll see I have more than one IBMi partition. If you saw the last 2-hour saga, long story short, I had to install IBMi again. I'll fill you in on all that later. But what I'm trying to say is, normally you would just kind of divide up the machine, configure its resource allocations, things like that. But unfortunately, in the IBMi world, you cannot just go plug a serial port in or use a KVM on the back of the machine to interact with IBMi. I should tell you what IBMi is. You've probably seen it. Costco still uses it, CVS, you go to a tire shop and there's a guy using a green screen to configure your order. That's almost certainly IBMi. It came out in 1988, used to be called AS400. Many people still call it AS400. It's now called IBMi on Power. There will be more videos about it. Don't you worry. I really love these IBM Power systems. I like messing around with them, and I will have a point here soon. But it takes forever to do anything. So that was several minutes for it to power up and be ready and stand by. So now let's go into it. And I think I want to start this one. This is my fresh IBMi install, and I'm going to tell it to start this VM, essentially. That didn't work. All you LPAR experts out there, there's this like default LPAR, and it always tries to turn it on, and it's busted. And so I always have to wait for that to happen, and then I tell it to get lost. And I believe now my IBMi LPAR will start. What's up with that? I mean, I haven't dug too deep, but this takes forever too. It is telling me the hypervisor IO reset sent successfully. All right. Okay, the point of all this is, in the IBMi world, I'm very tethered to this HMC to interact with the machine. IBMi requires a 5250 terminal emulator. My only means at the moment of getting into this machine are using 5250 console emulator on the HMC. And it looks something like this. I think this is what you'd see at the bottom of a real 5250. It's waiting for the operating system to start, and eventually I can get in and use IBMi. So today, the task at hand is to install IBMi Access Client Solutions. It's a Windows application. I think they had Linux as well. It is a 5250 terminal emulator, and over TCP/IP, once the machine is up, I can interact with it in probably a much nicer terminal emulator here on any Windows PC I wish. That's our goal today. I've done a little research, And as with anything IBMi, it's going to be more of a rabbit hole than is desired. Oh, I've always wondered this. So I've never actually latched on fast enough. It's doing an IPL, initial program load. It's basically booting. So think about you're turning on a Windows 98 machine and it's shooting out its post and all that stuff. It's kind of the equivalent here. So yeah, I didn't know, I was always wondering, like, how do they watch the IPL stuff? But attach the terminal earlier. This is what IBMi looks like when it's starting up, when an IPL is in progress. We're here. I'm going to log in with the super admin, the security officer. If you break into my home, the password is QSecOfficer1. And if you can figure out how to boot these machines up, I'd be very impressed. And we see the glorious IBMi main menu. Now, why did I reinstall IBMi? I went through a 2-hour saga, mostly hard drive related, getting IBMi installed. And the other weekend, I came down here. A video I wanted to do when that Nortel stuff was going sideways on me is actually use the IBMi via this book I read from 1993. I went off and tried to make myself a new user, and it didn't work. Like, all of the operating system was missing, even though I could navigate these menus and kind of move around. I was like, what the heck? When I first installed it, I tried to power it down with power down sys. It just didn't shut off, and so I forcibly shut it down, and that resulted in what IBMi calls an abnormal IPL. And the next time I booted it up off camera, I was getting all sorts of errors. It was saying, contact your service representative. I don't have one of those. I'll take one though, IBM, if you're willing. So it turns out, let's do a power down sys. I just ran this as is, meaning it's going to use its defaults. One of the beautiful things about IBMi is pretty much you click anywhere on anything and you can hit F4 and you do something called prompting it. Let's do that now, F4. And as you can see, there's a lot of options I could have passed to that command, or via this prompt system, I can set them here and then press enter. So the prompting tells you about a thing you're trying to do and lets you configure an aspect of it. And you'll notice the controlled end delay time is 3,600 seconds. It's expecting you to have like a real machine that's doing stuff. There's all these queues and everything and work and jobs going on. Obviously mine's doing next to nothing. And so by default, it does a controlled, these things that are in caps with a star in front of them, basically like constants. They're like operating system defaults you can put into these things. And so one is called controlled, one is called imed for immediate. Basically these days I just do a controlled 60-second shutdown so I can just, you know, go like that. Anyway, that's not what was breaking my operating system. I'm getting off track. Let's get out of here. I think my other LPAR is savable. Let's do a go lick program, shall we? Go to the licensed program menu. That go command lets me go to any menu within the system to configure something. They all, mostly all I guess, have unique names. You can see in the upper left. I'm in the lick program menu. IBM calls the software they provide to you on the install media, there's like 5 disks or something, including the operating system, licensed programs. So let's go to 10. Display installed licensed programs. And you can see I'm doing okay. A critical one is having these libraries. These are like basically a bunch of commands and binaries and capabilities. QGPL and QUsersys are like the operating system, more or less. You need these. Mine weren't installed. I didn't finish the install properly, even though it looked like IBMi was working just fine. You can see I've gotten a little further. I don't have the extended base directory support yet. It took me like 3 hours to get to this point. It was an absolute nightmare. We're going to have to install some licensed programs for this IBM Access stuff. Speaking of, I haven't checked out this IBMi Access tasks. Yeah, it's going to let me like copy PC documents to here and vice versa. It'll be pretty useful in the future, I think. By default, IBMi does not come with TCP/IP capabilities. You need to install a licensed program for that. Let me go look it up. I can't remember it, and I'll show it to you. So we're at the Work with Licensed Program menu again, and I'm going to go to 11, Install Licensed Programs. Let me show you a fresh hell. This screen tells you all the things this thing thinks could be installed, but not which install media they're on. You have to go reference a, in my opinion, somewhat confusing document, unless you've done this before. Also, it really wants extended base directory support installed. I cannot get that to work. By default, it always says, yeah, you need this. Maybe we'll deal with that later. You saw mine was in an error state. I can't get it to work. I do have extended base support though. That's good. So let's scroll down a little bit. A couple pages here. Right here. We want this thing. IBM TCP/IP connectivity utilities for I. That's what we want to install. We'll do that last. I need to figure out which disk it's on. We'll talk about this a little more later. But let's try to install the client application on a Windows machine because I want to try to have some sort of a quick win here to keep me going. Quick win, who's kidding? I just bought this ThinkCentre on eBay. I think it's a pretty early one. It's a model 8212-A92. It's probably between 03 and 0405. It's got a Pentium 4 HT inside. Probably going to explode 3 million capacitors when I turn it on. I'm pretty sure I could use my main Windows 11 machine, but I want an excuse to do something with this. So we're going to do it the slightly hard way first. Power this thing up, see if it works, see if it powers on. Doesn't have a hard drive, so I'll probably put Windows XP on there. I could put Windows 2000. I think XP is going to be better with drivers and everything. So yeah, I'm going to clear all this off. Let's see what this thing's all about. Check it out. I've even got a keyboard that won't look entirely stupid in front of it for once. So this is one of the earlier ThinkCentres before IBM divested their PC stuff to Lenovo. And I think it's going to be a pretty useful shop computer. The other ThinkCentre I've got, I love it, use it a ton, but it's big. This one's nice and small, though oddly enough, I think this one weighs more. It's like complete steel, you'll see. It's got a floppy, very useful. It's got a DVD multi-ROM here, very nice. Audio on the front, a couple USB ports. Like I was saying, it's got the Pentium 4 HT inside, hyperthreading, I think that stands for. Nice IBM logo here. Got the Windows 2000 product key on the side there. She was a business unit. On the back, it's got an additional NIC inside. Maybe that's a 1 gig NIC or something. They needed more than the onboard, or they needed 2 networks, I don't know. A dual serial port card. That could come in handy. Onboard serial port. PS2 mouse and keyboard. 6 more USB ports on the back. Parallel printer port. What is this? Speaker out, line out, maybe? And a VGA port. Oh, and room for another half-height PCI card. And I'm telling you, it's shockingly heavy. It's entirely made out of metal. Now here's the best part. It was designed to be very serviceable. So there's 2 buttons on the side, and the lid flips up, and you're in. Inside we've got what looks like a gig of RAM, but I've got 2 more slots I could populate. Maybe we'll upgrade that. I wonder, oh, does this whole thing come out? Look at this. So easy to deal with. Wasn't clipped or anything. Wow, look at that hinge mechanism. Look at those. Down in there. What used to be a country. Really clean inside. eBay seller said it was pulled from a working environment. Of course, the hard drive's been pulled. The good news is it'll take a SATA drive. So we'll slap an SSD in there in a second. I'm not smelling anything suspicious. The caps look okay. So hopefully we'll be all right. This was probably from the era when capacitors were not very good. So we'll see what kind of luck we have with this thing. Here's the hard drive bay. And of course the downside here is it was some proprietary tray thing that they like to pull out when they scrap the hard drive because it takes more work to take the screws off and stuff. So I don't have the tray, but we'll just have a SSD flopping around in here, I think. See if it turns on. The only fan was in the front here, and it's pulling air through the chassis across the heatsink for the CPU, and those Pentium 4s like to get hot. So we're going to leave the lid on. I think it'll just rev its fans and then do nothing initially. No, okay, it's like a normal computer. No, just kidding. What's it going to do? Nothing on the screen yet. Never mind. Working unit. Yes. I heard it cling in the floppy drive. That's a good sign. It's probably just going to sit here. Oh, it's mad. Let's go to setup. We're in. A little louder than I'd like. That's okay. Gig of RAM. Pentium 4, 3 gigs. All right. Could be a good Noxua mod opportunity. Get a beefy Noxua in front, and then get another fan in the case as well. Looks like there's a header for another fan here. As far as I can tell, it is healthy. We've got a DVD-ROM. We've got the floppy. Let's see here. It thinks it's 2008, which is good, because I imagine it would think it's way later than that. If the battery on the board is bad, PS2 mouse is disabled. That is good to know. I will use a USB mouse. That's fine. Just want to see what kind of boot order it's got here. Yep, that's good. Starts with the ID hard drive, which will also detect SATA, I think. Then it goes to the CD, and then it goes out to that PCI network card, I think, which I don't want. Every manufacturer made up their own little little thing. It'll also boot from USB. That could be nice. And bring the disk up. Doesn't like that. You're supposed to hit / to include one, X to exclude. So when I'm up here, I can exclude with X, and theoretically I can bring an item up with the /. Doesn't work. I'm not going to bore you with this. I'll figure it out. Well, I can't figure out how to get stuff up here, so I'm glad it didn't remove anything I really need. Though I could go to defaults. Anyway, this is fine. I'm probably going to slap a Windows XP CD in there and then install it to the hard drive, and that'll be fine. It would have been nice to be able to do the USB stuff, but whatever. Well, the plan is we'll get this 240 gig Kingston in here. It'll just be flopping around in the case. That's fine. I don't think it exposes any electronics. Yeah, that's the best part about these. They can flop around in the case, and they won't hurt anything. That's why I like them. That took a little bit of dexterity, but the drive is just flopping in here, and I don't think it's gonna hurt anything. Ooh. This DVD-ROM is not inspiring confidence. It's trying to boot the Windows XP disk, though. Yeah, it got there. Sees the drive. That's good. Hopefully this is uneventful, and also I can almost guarantee you I'm just going to install it on my main machine because this fan is so loud, but we're having fun. We're getting there. USB works. All right. Sometimes it's like too quiet. This is not noise canceled. It's making like no noise, which would be nice, but I worry about that Pentium 4 baking away in there. We're in for a special treat. This thing has a speaker for some reason. Oh, there's that fan kicking up, sorry. Do not protect my PC ever. Will not be registering with Windows at this time. This is what it sounds like full bore while it's running that fan. I got the IBM Access Client Solutions Windows installer on here. What are the chances our USB slots work? Very good. Getting that transferred over. This thing is so good. I've been wanting one of these for a long time. I'm glad I just pulled the trigger. So it's got 32-bit and 64-bit installers. We are in the 32-bit era. It's cracking me up this thing has a speaker. Kind of loving that. Get this baby installed. Chloe's helping. Pretty good setup. This is striking me as not what I want. ODBC administration, that's like some database stuff. Yeah, this is like to help me connect to databases that are running on a IBM machine. I want a terminal emulator. Alright, well, do a little more research. It says the following features from IBM Access for Windows, which is the prior version of this. I thought it was deprecated. Well, it is deprecated. Not included in this package. The 5250 display and printer emulation. The only thing I want. So rather than the IBM Access Client solution, which I just installed, I need the platform-independent IBM Access Client solution package. What the classic IBM. Got a copy of Client Access V7R1, which is kind of confusing. They shipped this Windows Client Access thing V7R1 with IBM i 7.1, IBM i 7.2, which I have, and 7.3. Now, of course, they've deprecated it. There's other ways to do this. I think you can get the IBM i to host like a web service that lets you log in on a web browser and it'll emulate a 5250. That sounded more involved than what I'm attempting to do, but maybe I'm going to be wrong in the end and we'll end up trying that. But this thing has this thing. I'm just going to assume it's going to choose the right install media for what I need here. Ooh. An update is required to continue this install. Install interrupted. Let's go in here. Try this one. It doesn't like it. IBM! Just installing the Visual C++ 2010 service pack, as one does. I would like to send my information to Microsoft. That was pretty quick. I'm going to restart. Not good enough. It still doesn't like it. This is getting ridiculous. Legacy update to the rescue, though. So we're just going to install a bunch of stuff on this Windows XP machine. It is Service Pack 3, but it's an ISO I've been using for years. The IBM installer does not like some aspect of this machine. I went to the archived version of the page it had, and it was complaining about updates, security updates you were going to need and stuff, so we'll see. Maybe we can make it happy. One of these Visual Studio C++ updates, not sure which one because I installed both, solved the problem. That's what the IBM i Access for Windows installer wanted to see. Doesn't mean we're going to get any further, but let's go for it. Oh yeah, now we're cooking. I can set up this machine as an operations console, which means I think I get an emulator and I can interact with it. But of course, that machine needs to be online. Believe it or not, up until now, this has been the easy part of the video. So let's fire up the HMC again. So we need to install TCP/IP support on this IBM install. And in order to do that, we will consult the IBM 7.2 IBM and related software installing, updating, or deleting IBM and related software document. On page 188, we can learn about the latest version of media labels and their contents. You are probably going to get no less than 6 DVD-ROMs when you buy IBM, at least 7.2 here. And each disk has a particular label. So the licensed machine code, or the system licensed machine code, or the SLIC, is IBase1. You can think of this like the kernel. It's the first disk you use. And then the rest of them are these group disks. There's 5 of them. They're called B group and then a number at the end. So for example, this is the lovely documentation I was talking about earlier. On IBase1, we've got the SLIC, the kernel. On B group 1, we've got what they call IBMI, which are these libraries: QGPL, QUsersys, and QSys. And I'm thinking I don't even have QSys installed on mine. We should check that. I think my IBMI installs are in bad shape. I'm hoping I can recover. And then of course you've got group 2. It's got a bunch of stuff. Scroll down. Group 4. It's got a bunch of other stuff that you can install optionally. If you remember when we were working with licensed programs, it has this full list. It doesn't tell you which disk to use. You need to reference the name. Maybe it shows you the product identifier. I can't remember. And then you figure out which disk you should put in the machine. It's really fun. So here's all my install media. I got SLIC at the top, and then I got the group 1 through 5 disks. IBM mislabeled this one base 1. I don't know why they did that. This is how IBM sent them to me when I bought IBM i 7.2. Seems kind of unprofessional on IBM's part. They got some guy in Rochester just burning DVD-ROMs. But I've got the SLIC. We won't need that anymore. And I've got the 5 group disks, or 5 of them anyway. To get network access on this IBM over TCP/IP, we need product 5770-TC1. IBM TCP/IP connectivity utilities for I. It is, of course, theoretically on B group disk 4. So that's what we're going to put in the machine. IBM is up. I'm going to go put group 4 in the DVD-ROM. Just for fun, let's see what I've already got. Option 10. So, no surprise here. I definitely don't have QSys, which, based on my reading, seems important. So, let's see if we can even install anything without that. Now, we've got a couple options here. I spent a lot of time last Saturday dicking around with all this to even get as far as I've gotten. Theoretically, I can go to option 5. Let's take a look here. And I can do this one. Work with licensed programs for target release. Right, and then I can tell it to generate a list from the distribution media, number 1, from OPT01. That happens to be my DVD-ROM. When I do this, it doesn't work. Sometimes it sort of works. Most of the time, the operating system freezes up and I literally have to reboot the LPAR. So we're not going to do that. I'm doing something wrong, I don't know. We are going to go to 11, install licensed programs, and see if we have any more luck. Again, it really wants me to install extended base directory support, which I think I'm going to have to figure out someday. But we're not going to do that right now. So we'll page down until I find my TCP/IP thing. Interesting. At the bottom it has the IBM access for Windows thing. We'll get there. Yeah, maybe we'll need that. There it is. Good old 5770-TC1. That's what we need. So the 1 here means I want to install that. I'm going to press enter. And it brought me back up to the screen and tells me I need to install this again. Did my thing stick? Okay, but this stayed, so I'm just going to press enter again. Things it really thinks it needs, it's always going to try to install, and it's not on my media. I think it's on a different disk. I could never get this one to install right. Anyway, enter. And here we go. OPT01 is my optical drive. You know what? Actually, I'm getting way ahead of myself. It's actually way more complicated than this. Before I can install any software, not all software, but I think it recommends you do this when you're messing around with licensed programs, I have to get the system into what's called a restricted state. And my understanding is that just means, users aren't allowed to run jobs. The system can't do anything when it's in a restricted state while you're installing stuff. And of course, the way you do this is first issue this command. This is in the documentation. Change message queue, qsys star break, sev 60. See what I mean? It's saying I don't have libraries. We're in bad shape, folks. Q help sys not found. I think I have not successfully installed the help documentation. Anyway, I will contact my hardware service provider. That's fine. And then you give it the end subsystem star all star immediate. This went better. We're in better shape. Okay, let's install TCP/IP. We're back here. It's going to try to install this. Won't work. I don't think it's on the disk. And then hopefully it will try to install TCP/IP. Oh, right. Okay. This is good. I've been in situations where it doesn't know how many it's actually attempting to install, and it just shows a number here, and then the whole thing just freezes. It's bad. We'll see. Eventually, it will start saying that it's trying to load from media, unless, of course, it's frozen again. I'll be back in like 30 days. Sometimes it shows you this screen, and it says load the next volume in the optical device. And you have two options, X or G. I think X kind of means exit. I think G means go, just keep going. And it's pretty unclear what you should do. So I've seen it where it's actually wanting me to accept a license agreement. And in that case, you should press X. And sometimes it really just wants the next disk. In that case, you should press go. I'm going to go look and see. I'm guessing it failed to install that extended thing because it's not on the disk that's in there. I'm going to go see if it spit the disk out. I'll be right back. It didn't. It's still in there. So let's tell it to continue with the letter G. Based on all the reading I've been doing and comments I've gotten on the previous video, I'm pretty sure I'm doing this on hard mode. So I think typically as a programmer or an end user using IBM, maybe even someone from IBM would have came out and done this for you. We're in like full-blown IBM admin mode here, which I think is a pretty rare skill. I don't have the skill. I suspect there's a small number of people in the world left out here that know how to do this properly. And if you're one of them, you're probably screaming at me right now, but we'll see what the letter G does. Yeah, and then sometimes this happens. Problem occurred loading volume into device. We'll be Xing this time. Okay. Right, so for some reason, now I'm accepting a license agreement. I don't know what I'm doing. The license agreement for our friend 5770TC1. TCP/IP. How do I accept it? F14. Accepted. Install of license programming is continued. Like, look, this is very obtuse. It says the function was not complete. I did not cut anything out. I'm looking at my list of installed license programs now. You saw every key I pressed. We now have installed IBM TCP/IP connectivity. How we did it is a absolute mystery. Going on a quick side quest. I'm trying to get this extended base directory support installed because it really wants it installed. Chloe is helping me by chewing on me. Hi, Chloe. I put the right disk in. It's been Chloe. It's been cranking away for like 10 minutes. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it. And the IBM i 7.2 installation documentation, which is my Bible for the last few weeks, has a times for installing licensed programs. It says what I'm installing right now could take 16.7 minutes, which is weird because it doesn't know what kind of hardware I have. Maybe it's like the speed of the DVD-ROM and it knows the hardware is always faster. I don't know. It does seem pretty integral to the operating system. So they have these option numbers and it's a pretty low one, 3. It says this option installs automatically when you install a new release. That did not happen for me. It contains integrated file system directories and you cannot delete this option. So yeah, I'm missing a core piece of the operating system here. That's why it keeps constantly trying to install it. So I'm going to let it do its thing. Then we'll be back on the IBM access and TCP/IP stuff. About 16.7 minutes later, it claims the work with licensed programs function has completed. I'm telling you guys, I tried this many times a few days ago last weekend, and it didn't work. So let's display the licensed programs that are installed. Ooh, that is what you want to see. All compatible. We can do an F11 to display release. Yes. So I'm running IBM 7.2, in other words, V7R2. We've got a lot of stuff installed. This is good. I think I have a healthy IBM install now. That's very exciting for me personally. Sit back and relax. We will now be consulting the IBM 7.2 Networking TCP/IP Setup document. It is 68 pages. I have distilled it down to this. This is my little cheat sheet. I'm pretty sure this is everything we're going to need to run on the IBM install to literally assign an IP to one of the Ethernet ports. So let's see what we get. Power 6 is booting up, and then I got to boot up IBM. And let me show you what it's like to add an Ethernet port, at least on this Power 6 machine, to an IBM LPAR. So I filmed a little clip when I thought I was going to start a video, a simple video about using IBM AS400. That didn't work out too hot. Have a look while we wait for this to boot up. And this is how you assign an Ethernet port to an LPAR on this Power 6. So there's 4 physical ports on the back. This thing selected right here is my IBM LPAR. So you go to Manage Profiles, select the default, Logical Host Ethernet Adapters. Here's my 4 ports. Configure. I'm going to give it this thing. All VLANs are totally fine. Okay. Now I'm going to try to start the LPAR. Okay. I can't assign that port to this LPAR because this partition is not the promiscuous partition for the physical port. What? So apparently you go to the server view. This is the server itself that is hosting those LPAR VMs. Adapters, host Ethernet. Let's configure that port. The promiscuous LPAR is a different one. What does this mean? I'm going to assign it to the IBM LPAR, hopefully. Let's see if it'll start now. It's booting up. What is a promiscuous LPAR? Are these LPARs like hooking up when I'm not looking? What's going on here? I think promiscuous just means it has full access to the port. So I think in the AIX world, IBM's Unix variant, which you can see, I've got some AIX LPARs over here. You can share a physical port between multiple LPARs or VMs and use VLANs. Anyway, I don't think IBM likes that. So this one has full promiscuous access to one of those physical ports. And hopefully we can prove it here by running go hardware. That's good. Work with communication resources. Number 1. I don't know which one of these is the Ethernet port. I'm going to go Google these types. Maybe whoa, you can highlight stuff. I didn't know that. Maybe we can learn something from that. Okay, I didn't actually Google anything yet, but this is good. So one of my options is to display resource detail. And so over in the option column, I can put a 7. I just randomly chose one of these. And it has a location. So all these IBM machines have literal locations. We might even be able to see this in the HMC, actually. Actually, I have terrible news. It doesn't think any Ethernet adapters are assigned to my LPAR. I'll be back in a little bit. Yeah, I never actually assigned a port to this LPAR. This one here, C7T2, which I'll have to go look up and see which one that physically is. I'm going to assign it here. I'm doing this while the LPAR is running, so this is either going to be really cool and it works really bad and everything goes wrong, or really boring and I just have to restart the LPAR. So actually I had to come in here, choose it, not just click OK. I had to choose configure, and then I gave it logical port 2. That's fine. Yeah, I can't find it in here. I've, done F5 to refresh and everything. So if we go look at some of these with 7, you can see it's P1, C1, T2. It's probably a serial port or something. But what I actually want is P1, C7, T2. So I'm going to restart the LPAR. I'll be back. LPAR restarted. I'm looking at the communication resources again like we did before with Go Hardware. And you see that little guy down there? Ethernet port? There's hope. Let's see what he's all about. Oh yeah, P1, C7, T2. That's our guy. I think I'm going to need to remember one of these. CMB07, line 05, CMN. Anyway, I'm literally going to take a picture of it for later. From this point forward, I will be consulting the steps I distilled from the TCP/IP setup guide from the IBM documentation. We already did Go hardware. We know we have an Ethernet port. Now I'm going to do a create line eth, and I'm going to prompt it with F4. We're going to call it retro rack. Then we got resource name. I'm going to prompt this. Which one do you think it should be? I'm referring to my documentation. Because I'm creating something called a line, I'm going to go with LIN05. We'll see where we get. I think this is fine. This is saying bring the Ethernet line up at IPL at boot. And then we're going with, auto duplex, auto line speed. I think that's okay. I'm going to press enter. Oh, I get more options. Dude, I don't know. Enter. Great. Made a line. Now we're going to do a config TCP. Excellent. I believe I want to do one, work with TCP IP interfaces. Okay, we got a loop back. It's promising. We are going to add one, and I need to go look up what the IP should be, but it's going to be 10.00 something. Just consulted my little RetroRack Google Doc, and 43 is available as a static IP. Oh boy. Can I type in here? Cursor in protected area of display. Okay, that's fine. Let's press enter. Oh, maybe it's doing something. We're a little frozen. Uh-oh. That's not good. What the? QSEC offer 1. Not valid. Okay, so that's fine. You attempt to add an IP to an interface and then you get kicked out of your admin access. That's good. This is all really good. I'm back in. I don't want to talk about it. Let's try that again. One more time with config TCP. Work with TCP/IP interfaces. I'm just going to say add. There we go. I didn't do anything this time. 10.0043. And this is going to be important. The line description, I'm going to prompt this. I am not seeing the one I made. This is not good. This is not what the documentation said. I think I did call it RetroRack. I don't like that I can't prompt that. Okay. Pretty sure the only thing I care about is the subnet mask, which is this, and I'm going to press enter. Okay, this is good. I have assigned an IP. Subnet mask is correct. I don't know what a line description is, but it's RetroRack. Let's get out of here. Now we're going to set up a default route, I think, which is number 2. Work with routes. I'm going to add one, and I'm going to press enter, I think. Yeah. Don't type in that screen. It'll freeze your shit. The documentation says the route destination should be star default route, which of course is very intuitive. It also says the subnet mask should be star none. Okay. This is the interesting part. Next hop is the RetroRack router, 10.001. I think that's all I do here. Okay. Yeah, whatever. That's cool. I think I forgot to do something in here. So let's go to the top one, interfaces. Down here, I'm going to press 9 to start it. We would like it started. Can it do it? There's no cable plugged in, by the way. The little watch icon means it's thinking about something. Hopefully it comes back to life. Got an Ethernet cable plugged in, and the good news is we get activity lights, and it was really well labeled, so T2 is the guy we want. It's ultimately coming into port 19 on a switch in the RetroRack. However, I cannot ping out and I cannot ping in. I've been doing some research. I think I know what's going on. Remember these notes I took for myself? I set that resource name to line 05. I believe I need to set it to CMN 05. So let's try that now. Deleted everything I had made before, the routes, the line, the interface definition, and then I did all of that from the beginning, except I used the CMN 05 as the line resource, and now we've got a 10.0043 IP on this thing. The line description, I called it RR this time, didn't have to. And it says, I have started IP interface on RR. So let's see if we can ping now. We are going to attempt to ping to the outside world, as it were. I don't really know if this where to get the information about what's coming back. I don't know. Figured it out. Here's what you do. You run the ping command, and then you give it the IP you care about, which is my router that this machine should be connected to. Press enter, and you get a message at the bottom, verifying connection. You take your cursor, and you put it there, and you press F1, and you get that message, verifying connection. There's this other option, F10, display messages in job log. I'm going to press F10 now, and we can see we've got 5 successful pings, 5 out of 5 successful. I think we're online. Had to lock Chloe out of the room, just got some Taco Bell. She will eat anything. She's very food motivated. Anyway, this is a VM that is on that same network, and we're going to ping the IBM I LPAR. And we're getting responses. So, let's fire up the ThinkCentre. Got the ThinkCentre powered up. It has retrieved a 10.000 IP from my retro rack via this very short Ethernet cable, I guess. First things first, let's see if we can ping the IBM I machine. And we can. That is exciting. And then I fired up the IBM I operations console. What's a host name? I did not set up a host name. Hopefully. Oh, it's not going to like that. Well, actually I did. What did I call it? I think I called it IBM I. It's not going to find it though. I don't have any DNS hooked up. Okay, maybe it'll be fine. 10.0043. Hopefully it just tries this IP address. That's weird that it already knows the serial number. That is a really good sign. This thing's frozen. Okay. Tired of looking at this Windows XP crap. Let's see. I feel like there's more you can do here. There we go. Classic. Oh yeah. That's what you want. Okay. Now we're talking. So it reached out, and that's like a unique identifier for this thing. I don't know how to use this connection. New connection. No. I'm going to need to read the documentation. Okay. I'll be back. Well, I haven't gotten that IBM I Access client to work yet, but I'm making some progress, and I am living the life here. So we got the XP machine here, the KVM with the HMC console up there. Then down to the right, we've got the HMC keyboard and mouse, which has tons of extra cord. I can put that on my lap and use the HMC while I am researching, just to my right, with my main machine here. And I have an XP VM. Let me show you what I've cooked up so far. So this Windows XP VM is on the same network as the IBM I machine, and I ran a bunch of cryptic commands I found online to enable a telnet server and a bunch of other stuff. And now, check this out, I can telnet from here, and I get a login screen to the IBM I. So I also have a collab user that I've created. Password is collab. We're using IBM I over telnet. I will take it. Let's see if all this telnet crap I did is going to let other stuff log in. TN5250 is a pretty classic open source 5250 terminal emulator, which in effect makes it an AS400 IBM I terminal emulator. I haven't had any luck except after I turned on all the telnet stuff. Yeah! Okay, so this is obviously much better. Yes, okay. Yeah, I'm excited about this. This is good. I can navigate the menus from here at least. Sign off. That is exciting. Okay, let's try the official IBM client now that I have telnet turned on. There's also this tool called System I Navigator, and I don't think I've installed that on my IBM I install. The fact that I can already get telnet and open source 5250 emulator access, kind of losing interest in this IBM crap. It has frozen again. Big developments. I edited the Windows host file and I put the IP to this IBMI host because those IBMI tools wouldn't let me use an IP, and fire up System I Navigator, and it likes to freeze a lot. But finally, you can let it log you in. I haven't tried the QSec officer yet. Yeah, look at that. I am accessing the IBMI OS visually the way a Windows user would. We got some authority issues though, but we are connected. Pretty sure I need to install some more stuff on the IBMI over here, but I'm pretty happy with this. I'm assuming I can telnet from here. Oh yeah. I wonder if it lets the QSec offer the security officer log in remotely. No, not authorized to workstation. That makes sense. Good old Clab can log in though. Oh yeah. This is beautiful. There's also this emulator thing. This is good. Oh, what? Host server licensing information. License information not found. Yeah, I gotta install some stuff on the IBMI server. That's fine. Remember our good friend Go Lick program? Well, if we go to Install License Programs, number 11, and we go all the way to the bottom, we've got IBMI Access for Windows. That wasn't part of the base media install that you would have gotten, but just so happens that my good friends at IBM sent me this. So thanks guys over in Rochester. Haven't seen this one before. Optical device empty. C or G. I wonder what C does. Cancel, perhaps. Well, that's too bad, because the problem this thing is complaining about is host server licensing. Do details. It says verify on the IBMI machine with work with licensed info that IBMI access for Windows is there. I don't have that. And at least with this version of the emulator, which is apparently the Personal Communications iSeries Access for Windows Workstation Program version 6.0 for Windows, copyright '09 IBM, and the stupid mask on the PC in the background. IBM! So if I do what that documentation says and work with license info, I definitely do not have IBMI access for Windows. I think that's going to be a problem for another day. It's both inspiring and frustrating that this machine is clearly talking to the IBMI server and deciding that I'm not properly licensed to talk with it on Windows. Got to get an HMC or Telnet. It's like, come on. I'm still calling this video a win though, simply because I can do this. This is great. Oh, and the two commands that were critical to making the Telnet stuff available and being able to remote in were the start TCP server Telnet and change sysval q autovert virtual terminal. I don't know. Mine was defaulted to 0. I changed it to something greater than 0. I chose 50. And suddenly I was able to Telnet in. Basically a success. I didn't quite get the IBMI client access thing to work. I'm sure there's some permutation I can figure out. Might have the wrong one installed. Probably got to do something on the IBMI. I'll figure that out. But my main goal was to have some other way to interact with this thing. We've got TCP IP and Telnet set up. Did try just Telnet and that other emulator. There are many, many, many other emulators to try, and that will be the plan going forward. And TCP IP is no small feat, so now we can run servers, do all sorts of interesting stuff with the box. That'll be fun to explore in future videos. So thanks once again for following along. Next up, hopefully, we'll be doing some programming and actually using the IBMI operating system, and that'll be really fun, I think. This first step was to get an emulator so that I can actually use something other than the HMC, maybe record it over here on my other machine and make the whole experience a little more ergonomic for me and better viewing for you. I'm going to be at VCF Southwest this Saturday, which is tomorrow. I'll be there in the afternoon. So if you see me, come say hi, and I might have stickers. Sometimes I run out, but I'll give you a sticker. It's the same sticker I've had for like 2 years. I really need to get on that. But as always, I hope you enjoyed this. Thanks a lot for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you in the next video.